November 2020. Good afternoon to you everyone and welcome to Pan-African Television News. My name is Baans, Abbans, and we are broadcasting live across 32 African countries via satellite. Now let's take a look at our top stories for today. Now our local phone today, Charlotte arrives in Libya for ECOWAS duties. Also, Martin AMIDU tenders in resignation letter. Now we'll bring you public reaction following up on Martin AMIDU's resignation. And we'll bring you health benefits of Bambara beans. And also on business today, planting for food and jobs can be sustainable if more extension officers are engaged. Richard Arthur says this. And also international stories today, political crisis deepens in Peru following resignation of interim president. And on sports today, we bring you an update on Joshua Bondu to handle Ghana versus Sudan clash. And on entertainment today, MOH outdoors new visuals for single Hi Me. Now this and many other stories coming up shortly. Do stay with us. We'll be right back. Alright, so welcome back. My name is Baans and welcome to the midday news on Pan-African Television. Now 20 days to the December 7th polls, and here on Election Focus we are committed in bringing in-depth analysis and of course best in news with regards to issues relating to the story. Now let's do some story. Now the former chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Ms. Charlotte is leading an ECOWAS team of elections and IT experts to assist Libya's election commission to clean up its register in preparation for the country's elections in December, following the request of President His Excellency George Weah.
According to the statement released by the ECOWAS office, Charlotte arrived in Monrovia on November 15, 2020 to join a technical team that is already on ground in Liberia. Reports suggest that the controversial voters register has derailed the confidence of the opposition community in the electoral system as the midterm senatorial election draws closer. The deployment is also in keeping the provisions of Article 14 of the Supplementary Protocol on Democracy and Good Governance, as well as Article 53C of the ECOWAS Conflict Prevention Framework and the decision of the Authority of Heads of State to send timely pre-election missions to member states holding elections to ensure a credible, free and fair electoral processes. She has over 25 years experience in both private and public sectors and has held various leadership positions. Charlotte has been a technical expert as well as ECOWAS long-term observer to ECOWAS member states, including serving in various ECOWAS pre-election fact-finding missions. In 2019, the UN appointed Charlotte Osei as an International Elections Commissioner to Afghanistan.
Now, away from that, now the Special Prosecutor Martin AMIDU has resigned from his position 3 years after he was appointed by President Akufo-Addo. The former Attorney General in a letter said his decision is to enable the President take steps in appointing a replacement for the position as required by law.
On Thursday, January 11, 2018, news broke of the proposed appointment of Mr. Martin Alamisi Benz Kaiser AMIDU as Special Prosecutor. Mr. AMIDU once served as the Deputy Attorney General in the Provisional National Defense Council (PNDC) military government and also the Attorney General and Minister for Justice from January 2011 to January 2012 under the John Evans Atta Mills-led government. His appointment was in fulfillment of a campaign promise made by the then presidential candidate and flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, who is currently the President of the Republic of Ghana.
The establishment of the Office of Special Prosecutor, an independent, non-partisan body with the relevant professional capability to lead the fight and hold public officials, past and present, accountable for their stewardship of public finances. The enactment of the Office of Special Prosecutor Act, Act 663/2018, by an MPP-dominated parliament, is the first stage in the fulfillment of that pledge.
The appointment of Mr. Martin AMIDU was described by the President as the discharge of one of the most important functions of his presidency. His appointment was largely welcomed by people from all walks of life and held to be a step in the right direction if the President was indeed serious in his campaign to fight corruption, a canker that has long eaten into the moral fiber of Ghanaian politics. The acclamation from the public stemmed from Mr. AMIDU's contributions to the fight against corruption, which earned him the enviable moniker Citizen Vigilante. To many, he was the best man for the job. This acclamation from the public stemmed from Mr. AMIDU's contributions to the fight against corruption, which earned him the enviable moniker Citizen Vigilante. To many, he was the best man for the job. The office of the Special Prosecutor, though new to Ghana, is ancient to some parts of the world. In the United States of America, for instance, this office has existed since 1875 with the appointment of John Henderson as the first Special Prosecutor. With the appointment of John Henderson as the first Special Prosecutor. In a country which is ranked 70th out of 179 countries in terms of perceived World Corruption Index by Transparency International, one of the surest ways to tackle this negative reputation was through the establishment of an independent, non-partisan office to deal with the menace. Mr. AMIDU assumed office with high hopes of executing his duties independently. However, alleged undue political interference, with particular reference to the Ejapa royalties deal, among others, necessitated his exit from office. In a strong-worded resignation letter, Mr. AMIDU cited a series of reasons of events compelling him to quit his position as Special Prosecutor. Portions of his letter read, "I should not ordinarily be announcing my resignation to the public myself, but the traumatic experience I went through from 20th October 2020 to 2nd November 2020, when I conveyed in a 13-page letter the conclusions and observations on the analysis of the risk of corruption and anti-corruption assessment on the report on Ejapa Royalties Limited transactions and other matters related thereto to the President as Chairman of the National Security Council, cautions against not bringing my resignation as a Special Prosecutor with immediate to the notice of the Ghanaian public and the world. In undertaking the analysis of the risks of Prevention of Corruption and Anti-Corruption Assessment, I sincerely believed that I was executing an independent mandate under the Office of the Special Prosecutor, Act 2017, Act 959, and the Office of the Special Prosecutor Operations Regulations 2018, LI 2374. The reaction I received for daring to produce the Ejapa Royalties Limited Transactions Anti-Corruption Report convinces me beyond any reasonable doubt that I was not indeed to exercise any independence as a special prosecutor in the prevention, investigation and prosecution as well as recovery of assets of corruption. My position as a special prosecutor has consequently become clearly untenable. It is essential for me to state for the purpose of the records and contrary to public perceptions that my appointment letter was received on 5th February 2020, almost 2 years after my appointment. The copy addressees made no effort to honor any of the conditions of appointment in terms of emoluments and benefits of the appointment ever since my warrant of appointment was issued on 23rd February 2018 to the date of my letter of resignation.
Right, so yes, we've been joining the studio on phone lines by Vitus Axim, who is the former Executive Director of Ghana Integrity Initiative. Good afternoon to you, sir. All right, so we're trying to get in touch with Vitus Axim, who happens to be the former Executive Director of the Ghana Integrity Initiative. As and when we get to him, we'll put him on the phone lines. Now, meanwhile, some Ghanaians have shared mixed reactions to Martin Amidu's resignation as special prosecutor. Let's take a look at this.
The special prosecutor's resignation has met with mixed reactions by Ghanaians. We're here to sample views from the public on what they make of Martin Amidu's decision to resign.
Oh, actually, it depends. Said they're not because looking at the situation right now, no, we get my more 2016. AMIDU like it's not fair. It's not fair. And at the same time, no, nobody so fighting corruption, but it's like corruption. Fighting the back into only option. Yeah, in a sense that in conform also prosecutor mono. More to the point, only updates. And at the same time, also, we said it. Because of say political ideas na woman, so or prosecutor will be in a sense of the in favor of the party now. Not where say back against him. Only choice. Want to manage my year.
Special prosecutor, I think he has failed Ghanaians because the work that we expected him to have done for Ghanaians, he's not done that. And also the president is also trying to protect his government appointees, which is not the best. But this is the same government who have let's say is accused the NDC of same or similar instance. So my take is that he has to be impeached. Very simple.
Until we join and Abbans and Nadia or Basso. So NDC. And so I just say the NDC sign up back until we join and say Nadia NDC so I say I'm better. So the Bia Bank say empty. And so you say or no or see we join. And so we join the end of not media audience say office and not buying it because not buying a bar. As a woman, you man, I say, but not buying so I had your better.
Tell me to the Mimitia. Because now you know so but ono so reason wa che say yentwa ne kan nsem bebi a okekan de me de shock me mu ba na ka mogide wonu so ko be ye adwuma no aye adwuma na ma adwuma na ye de be adwuma ye da hye ne sa so onyan ko be ye ama waya ma na ye ama Ghana fo nyina ni age but as adwuma no hu so me na adwuma no hu say ontimi adwuma no hu so okasa keke but adwuma na ye da hye ne sa no ontimi ni oni akokudura o de ye ntina ma abane sa no
ono de say papa no better when timanye bibia nti so no resign better so no resign because adwuma de show nsa na wonti menya entem no anu watwa so ni gwa say obabi waduro ma manfo keka wani ma gu wani ma se nti wa resign normal
the reasons o ma ye say be yentua ne ka ana audience we kwa normal bokati o ma eno anya reason ana
dabi because one na adwuma na nkasa ya de man wa hunu yo na wa hunu adwuma ya de na agipe allowance waji bibia nti ono no de wa resign na want bi nkwatra se no nche no watra akonya so se odi post no be wuntem ya ne was amanfo be kasa amanfo ka gu nso nyina na ekumu kra na emu mokwatra fie no odwodwe no ho a obenya yes aka ne fie ho.
All right, away from that, the Socialist Forum of Ghana has paid a glowing tribute to the Secretary General of the Palestinian Liberation Organization, Said Erekat, in an event held to eulogize the selfless work of the Palestinian official. Now, this ceremony was held in the premises of Pan-African Television.
Said Erekat was an advocate for the repatriation of Palestinian refugees to their homeland and an end to the illegal detention of Palestinians in Israeli cells. He was also the chief negotiator for Palestinian independence and lived a life worthy of emulation. Managing editor of the Inside newspaper, Kwesi Pratt Jr., eulogized Said Erekat for his selfless and dedication towards Palestinian independence and perpetration of injustice towards them.
Today, we are dedicating this night to our brother, friend and comrade, Dr. Said Erekat, who became the chief Palestinian negotiator of the Oslo Conference, the Oslo negotiations, who also at one stage was indeed the Minister of Local Government of Palestine, and who was a member of parliament in Palestine representing Jericho. Indeed, Comrade Erekat spent all of his life fighting for the independence and freedom of the Palestinian people. Comrade Erekat was so dedicated to the pursuit of peace that he did not hesitate to make concessions. And indeed, year after year, the Palestinian people made concessions, and they continued to make concessions. And each time they made concessions for the sake of peace, the Zionist occupiers accepted the peace gestures as signs of weakness. The Zionist occupiers make it plain that they are not interested in peace, and that their only interest lies in the further subjugation of the Palestinian people to harsh colonial occupation. That their only interest lies in seizing the productive capacity of the Palestinian people in order to enhance their grip on the lands of Palestine and to serve as the police nation of the United States of America. Today, we in Ghana, in this very solemn but very simple gathering, want to pay tribute to this great fighter for national liberation extraordinary fighter for the independence of the Palestinian people, and this man who believed that the Middle East and the Persian Gulf can become zones of peace. Zones of peace which will lead to increasing the productive capacity of the people there. Saeed Arakat was indeed a fighter like Chris Hani. He was indeed a fighter like Augustino Neto. He was indeed a fighter like Modibo Keita, and contributed significantly to the resistance, to the building of the resistance movement of the Palestinian people.
Also at the event, to pay his tribute was the Palestinian ambassador to Ghana, His Excellency Abdul Fattah al-Satari, who shared more light on the struggles of Saeb Erekat in the struggle for Palestinian independence and the propagation of the message of freedom for them.
Saeb Erekat, they arrested him for the first time when he was only 13 years.
Now let's move to the story of the resignation of Martin AMIDU. And unfortunately, we haven't joined in this discussion on phone lines by Vector's Axim, who happens to be the former executive director of the Ghana Integrity Initiative. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Hello.
Yes, good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon.
Now let's talk about the resignation of Martin AMIDU. Now, the setting up of the special prosecutor was one of the campaign promises by the governing New Patriotic Party. In 2018, he was announced as the special prosecutor. It's this year that he was appointed, and it was the same year, 2020, that he has resigned. Now, first of all, are you surprised by the latest development of his resignation?
I'm not getting you well, but as for you, and if I understood you, you asked whether I'm surprised about his resignation.
Right, please. Right.
Well, I don't think that I'm surprised about it, although it is could be shocking to the anti-corruption community in Ghana.
Why would it be shocking to the anti-corruption community in Ghana?
Because this comes at the back of Mr. Domino being asked to proceed on leave, and Mr. Domino was doing quite well. And with the support, and then with his support, Madam Militu, we had some hopes, some high expectations from his office. So if he has decided to resign, two anti-corruption heads of institutions getting out of the system, it gives us a disappointment that we are not likely to succeed in the fight against corruption.
Okay, now let's deal with the resignation letter. Now, paragraph 3 of the resignation letter talks about the relationship between him and the president, and it clearly says that the one condition upon which I accepted to be nominated as a special prosecutor when you invited me to your office on the 10th of January 2018 was your firm promise.
Sir, I'm sorry, I'm not getting you at all. It's not good.
Okay.
I'm not in Accra. I'm in the north, and the line is not just good.
Okay, so can you position yourself well for me?
Yes, I have stopped. I was driving, I have stopped, but still.
Okay, so is it okay now? Can you hear me? Is it okay now? Hello?
Hello?
Is it okay now?
It's better, but it's not true. We can try.
Okay, let's manage. So I'm saying that if you look at paragraph 3 of the resignation letter, it talks about the relationship between Martin AMIDU and the president, and it says that one of the conditions upon which I accepted to be nominated as a special prosecutor when you invited me to your office on 10th of January 2018 was your firm promise to me that you will respect and ensure same by your government, by himself and by his government. And now if you look at the resignation letter that Martin AMIDU has put out, it clearly talks about the interference of government officials, and of course clearly states that the president also interferes in his work. Now, is this portion indicting the president, given the fact that we all know his assertion of fighting corruption? Does this indict the president in any way?
Yeah, I think it's an indictment of the president, and this is not the first time. Some of us have complained about the way he has not been very serious about investigations into serious allegations of corruption, and not acting on the findings of investigations if ever they take place. So what he's doing now is different from what he promised Ghanaians in 2016.
Right.
He was looking for votes. He made good promises. Unfortunately, on assumption of power, he has not been able to fulfill those promises with regards to corruption.
Now, let's look at this. Now, has Ghana lost the fight against corruption if the president accepts Martin AMIDU's resignation letter? Have we lost the fight against corruption?
Well, I think that Martin AMIDU is not the only one that can fight corruption in the country. There are other people who are probably not known, not in the public domain. And so it's possible for the president to accept Mr. AMIDU's appointment, this resignation, and then go ahead and appoint somebody else who will do that. But it doesn't have to do with the individual. It has to do with the appointed authority giving the individual the necessary support in terms of logistics, in terms of some amount of independence.
Now, quite a number of people are also, of the view that resignation by Martin AMIDU was not the right thing to do now, or was not the right way to go now. What is your own assertion to this development, given the fact that you work with the Ghana Integrity Initiative as the formal executive director? What is your opposition to this? Do you think that this is the right moment or right time for Martin AMIDU to tender in his resignation letter? And of course, counting up to 20 days to the general elections.
See, there's something that normally makes somebody to resign. It hasn't got anything to do with time. So it depends on the circumstances that have led him to resign. And he has indicated in his resignation letter why he is resigning. And so if you feel that you are there and you are not being given the necessary support, you cannot do what you have been put there to do. And in addition to that, maybe you are not very sure of your safety and all that. Definitely, you don't have to talk about time.
Okay, so
it's an individual, it's a personal decision you have taken.
Right. So to you, did you see this coming, following up from a lot of press conferences that he held as to complaining about the fact that he wasn't getting the necessary logistics to make his work efficient, and also perform his functions as a special prosecutor? Clearly, put inside the Act 959 of the Special Prosecutors Act. Did you see this coming?
It can be.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me? All right. So I think we've got a bit of information from him. We're talking to Vitus Axem, who happens to be the former executive director, Ghana Integrity Initiative. Let's go for a quick break. We'll turn shortly with someone. You stay with us. Welcome back from that quick commercial break. If you're just joining, this is Pan-African Television News. My name is Ivan Baans. Let's do some other stories. Now, astute chartered marketer and authoress Petra ASAMOAH has launched her book-dubbed Jungle Dance at the Ghana Academy of Art and Sciences. The unique and lucidly compiled novel is a reflection of a corporate journey which has spanned from almost 17 years. There's more to the story.
The launch was graced by dignitaries including Kwesi Pratt Jr., Managing Editor of The Insight, Charlotte Osei, Immediate Past Chair of the Electoral Commission, Dr. Spio Gabra, former Trade and Industry Minister, Reverend Albert Okran, author and Reverend Dr. Mensa Namawutabel, motivational speaker and founder of the International Central Gospel Church. The book captures two women, Bosse, who enjoy tremendous support and assistance from her family to succeed, and Yomba, a youngster who commits errors typical of go-getters in the corporate world. It also sums up the feelings of despondency, rejection, confusion interlaced with the triumphs, friendship and love experienced by both in their corporate journeys. Speaking at the launch, Petra ASAMOAH disclosed what inspired and motivated her to write the sought-after novel.
Naturally a writer. Motivation to be able to contribute to the arts on my continent. I feel that it's important that we begin to write our own stories, and well, not begin because we've always written our own stories, but we continue to do that, and this is just my contribution. But importantly, it's an area that I haven't read a lot about. So people don't typically write about the world of work and how to navigate the corporate space. I didn't want it to be a textbook. So this is my different way of solving a gap that I identified in the market.
Other notable attendees also took turns to share their thoughts on the literary masterpiece.
And it tackles very important themes that I think are relevant to our contemporary times.
I sit on her with and I love the fact that she's well read. There's nothing, there's some subjects that I don't have an answer
It's an interesting read. I don't want to give too much away. It's very reading. So I just say it's an interesting read. It's about Petra's experiences in the work environment. It's also about work experience of other people that Petra experience in the work environment. So it's a good read that I encourage everyone to buy.
Now let's do some health stories. Now, Bambara beans are originally from West Africa. Now the legumes grow well in Ghana given the perfect climate conditions for the plants in the country. The Bambara beans and groundnuts have a few similarities and thus grow the same way. Now there's more to this.
Various methods that bring contrasting but exquisite tastes. The beans have a high level of protein which is beneficial to the body. It can be crushed into flour and used in the baking of cakes and cookies. The powder is also used to make some beverages. Bambara beans have a high content of minerals. The beans mostly serve as a recommended natural remedy to protect the body from arthritis. Calcium in Bambara beans also helps protect the body from osteoporosis and other related bone diseases. They also contain probiotics and therefore excellent for treating diverticulitis in IBS, IBD and Crohn's disease. Regular intake of Bambara beans helps the body to manage anemia. The nuts are rich in iron that enhances blood levels in the body. The nuts contain high levels of carbohydrates, proteins, calories and several minerals that improve growth of the body. It also serves as a remedy for insomnia, which is common among people of all ages.
So that's all we have for you on our local front. Now up next is business stories. But let's do some business news. Now, the best agric extension officer for 2020, Richard Arthur, says the Planting for Food and Jobs policy can generate enough revenues if more extension officers are engaged to help manage post-harvest losses. In an interview with Kwame Akaba, he disclosed that post-harvest losses is the major cause of farmers losing loans and investing hugely.
Business is no doubt becoming the next investment opportunity for the middle-income earners in Ghana, with much advert on government policy on planting for food and jobs. A policy which the Ministry of Food and Agriculture says has helped sustain the food demand in the country by generating income for farmers. Unfortunately, the best agri-extension officer from the Bono region says post-harvest losses have been the main challenge and loss of investment by farmers.
So, me extension officer. Now, me beji award as the best extension officer representing our region. Yeah, most of the challenges, one I can mention is the coverage area. We need more extension officers to cover as farmers get on increasing as a result of the Planting for Food and Job. Most people have embraced the program, and as it becomes wider, so there is a need to get more extension officers to enable farmers benefit from the technologies that would push them. It has been a problem since time immemorial, and whenever we put it forward, and now we are in a climate smart agriculture.
The Upper West Extension Officer also urged government to put out policy to mandate the school feeding program purchase rice from the local farmers. According to him, the farmers are producing, but the major consumer of their products are not having policy to direct institutions to consume locally produced rice.
Yeah, we have rice. Mampugu Maduri, Agra rice. Yes, Mampugu Maduri, Northeast. There's plenty of rice, we don't have buyers. Yes. What do you think should be done? This, I believe this is the reason why we are all here. It's one of the reasons why we should be here, to collaborate the network so that people will come and buy. Otherwise, it's going to be terrible. There's a lot of rice sitting in Northeast. I can tell you that.
The policy on reducing importation of rice, you agree with that?
I totally support it.
And what would you think would be your plea to government?
I would just plea that at least maybe if we cannot do as a whole, at least at the secondary level, the statutory schools and other things, they should be eating made in Ghana rice.
Made in Ghana.
Yes.
So there is
Now, away from that, the assemblyman of for Keita South Electoral Area, James Oklu Akoli, has called on the Ministry of Tourism and the Ghana Museums Board to treat Fort Pesestanian sighted in the area as a containment emergency to aid revenue generation. He revealed this in an interaction with my colleague Kwame Akaba.
Fort Pesestanian, located in the Keita municipality of the Volta region, was built by the Danish traders in 1784 and used for slave trading and defense against the Anglos. While forts play an important role in the tourism development for revenue generation through culture, history and ecology, the containment and conservation of the site should be a matter to be carefully considered. A visit to the fort shows there is much to be done to help promote its tourism for foreign exchange. Some pupils from the Adafiano Basic School who toured the facility also shared their views.
I have some students who have just come for an excursion at this particular fort. Let me interact with them and find out what they have learned from here. What's your name, my dear?
My name is Kluche Gladys.
Kluche Gladys. You have come to is it the first time of coming to Keita Fort?
Yes, please.
What have you learned?
I've learned that the way the white men treated our forefathers, they treated them badly, and it pains me a lot that the way they've been treating them, if I were there, in fact, I don't know what to feel. They've done something wrong to them, and our forefathers, to me, they are so rest in perfect peace.
So would you like to come to this fort again?
No.
Why?
Because if I come here again, I find it very difficult to enter the rooms, because when I entered the room was very hot, and I'm feeling heat, and in fact I can't talk plenty about it. It's very painful.
That was the experience from you. But let me come to you. Is this your first time here?
Yes, please.
Which of the school are you from and your name?
My name is Amematu Grace. I'm from EP Basic School, Adafienu.
Adafienu, you are coming all the way from Adafienu.
Yes, please.
Adafienu is actually in the Ketu South municipality.
Yes.
So are you also worried about what you have seen here?
Yes, please.
Tell me your experience. Tell me what you have seen.
I can see my forefathers suffered. They really suffered in this slavery trade. And even when I came here, I felt very bad.
Before, have you been hearing of slavery? That when you came here, what is your feeling?
I've been hearing it, but as for today, I felt bad more than I have not experienced before.
Those who have not been here before, would you advise that they come here and also come and see it for themselves?
Yes, please. I would. Why? I would like to, because it really hurts me. It really hurts me. Because I want them to experience it themselves and see how our forefathers suffered.
Anyway, that was the experience from these young little school children who have visited the First President in Keta.
In an interview, the assemblyman for the Keta electoral area, James Oklu Akoli, appealed to stakeholders and the Ghana Museum Board to help conserve the site and promote it to help earn foreign exchange.
You know, the fort falls under the Museums and Monument Board. You know, and then the fort need to be conserved. So we are pleading with the authority concerned, that the GMMB, and then the UNESCO, International Council of Monument and Site, to come and then see to this historical building. It's only fort in the Volta region. Apart from this, from the southern eastern side of Ghana, there are no other fort apart from this one. So it needs to be conserved, and it's also a World Heritage Site. So a lot of people who come here complain about the nature of this the structure.
So that's all we have for you on our business front. Happiness is international. Now, the Peruvian Congress met on Monday, November 16th, in a bid to elect a new president after interim president Manuel Merino resigned on Sunday following massive protest. At around 3 in the afternoon, Congress approved Francisco Sagasti from the Partido Morado as an interim president.
After 5 short days as interim president of Peru, Merino of the Popular Action Party was forced to quit due to outrage over police repression on protesters. The protest in Peru had begun following the impeachment and removal of former President Martin Vizcarra on November 9. On Saturday, the police brutally repressed the protest in Lima, shooting dead 2 youth, Inti Sotelo Camargo, 25, and Brian Pintado Sanchez, 22. According to reports by human rights organizations, police also injured over 100 people while 40 protesters disappeared. As of Monday, 6 people are still missing. According to Cati Salcedo of the Peruvian organization La Junta, this type of repression and police authoritarianism has not been seen since the rule of dictator Alberto Fujimori in the 1990s. The widespread indignation at the violence further increased the pressure on the already unpopular interim government of Merino. In a matter of hours, 13 of the 18 members of his cabinet, as well as the leadership in Congress, resigned. Eventually, Merino too announced his resignation. The announcement, while celebrated as a victory of people's movements, has sent Peru into further political crisis as the presidency was left vacant. Congress met on Sunday to elect a new interim president, but the proposal to elect a list led by the left-wing Rocio Silva Santisteban of the Broad Front was rejected. Notably, it was the three right-wing parties that blocked the formation of the interim government, Popular Force, led by Keiko Fujimori, daughter of dictator Alberto Fujimori, Agricultural People's Front of Peru, an evangelical party, and Podemos Peru. On Monday, though Congress managed to elect an interim board with Francisco Sagasti of the Partido Morado as president to lead the government, people's movements in Peru are clear that while the vacancy has been addressed, their struggle must continue. The protests that began on November 9 were sparked by what social movements, left political parties and civil society organizations in Peru classified as a parliamentary coup. However, over the past week, there has been renewed emphasis on the historic demand of the Peruvian left to refound the country, beginning with the drafting of a new constitution.
That the war in Ethiopia northern Tigray region is getting increasingly internationalized as the Tigrayan forces rebelling against the federal government fired across the northern border into Eritrea on November 14th, Saturday. As of Saturday, around 25,000 refugees had fled across the western border into Sudan, according to its state nation.
Sudanese officials fear this number may go up to 200,000. In a separate attack in Benishangul Gumuz, a western regional state along the border with Sudan, unidentified gunmen killed 34 civilians in a passenger bus on Saturday night. The Ethiopian Human Rights Commission (EHRC) has called it a gruesome attack. The Benishangul Gumuz region does not share a border with Tigray, but also located to the southwest of its southern neighbor Amara, whose regional government militias are supporting the federal troops in Tigray. However, so far, there are no links drawn between this attack and the armed conflicts between the federal government and the regional government of Tigray. This conflict began on November 4 after Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed ordered the federal armed forces in Tigray to dislodge the ruling Tigray People's Liberation Front (TPLF) from the regional government. Abiy accused the regional troops of attacking the northern command of the Ethiopian National Defense Forces (ENDF) in the city of Mekelle. The TPLF had initially denied his accusation, claiming instead that the soldiers of the northern command had defected to their side. However, on November 14, Sekuture Getachew, a senior TPLF member, admitted on Dimsti Weyani TV that the TPLF had carried out a preemptive strike on this command. The TPLF was the dominant political force in Ethiopia from the 1990s until 2018, when Abiy became the prime minister. He came to power as a reformer in the backdrop of the popular anti-government protest demanding greater civil and political rights. The tension that has since been brewing between the TPLF and the Abiy-led federal government escalated in March, when the latter postponed the elections originally scheduled for August in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. Deeming this postponement as unconstitutional, the Tigray regional government held elections in which the TPLF was re-elected with a majority. The federal and the regional governments have since declared each other as illegitimate. Dismissing calls from the United Nations and the African Union for de-escalation, the Prime Minister has reiterated that the military offensive will continue until the TPLF is removed from power and disarmed.
So that's all for our international stories. Credit to the People's Dispatch for the international news. Up next, the sports. Coach Charles Smith. Pablo. Now let's do some sports. Now, the Confederation of African Football has named Joshua Bondo to officiate Ghana's 2021 AFCON qualifiers against Sudan today. The Botswanas will be assisted by Mogomosti Makali, Lucky Kegakunlo Getsui, and Chepo Makani.
Bondo, born on February 25, 1978, debuted as a FIFA referee on January 1, 2006, and has since handled numerous high-profile fixtures. Nicknamed Sprinter for his fairness and firmness on the field, the Knight of the Whistle is widely touted as one of the continent's finest. He famously handled the 2015 African Youth Championship final between Nigeria and Senegal. The 42-year-old also officiated Ghana's clash with Kenya on March 23, 2019.
Now let's do some more sports stories. Now, Coach Charles Kwabla Akono has spoken on the Black Stars' preparedness and readiness for this afternoon's clash against Sudan. The fixtures will be played at Omdurman El Marikat Stadium.
The gaffer has also named a strong lineup for the crucial encounter. Informed St. Gallen shortstopper Lawrence Atiziki has been given the nod ahead of veteran Fatal Dauda. Central defender Nicholas Opoku will play from the right back while Baba Rahman maintains his place at the left side of the defense. John Boy and Alexander Jeku will maintain their position at the center of the defense, while Mubarak Wakasu will partner Ebenezer Efriye Akwa in central midfield. Brentford Tariq Fosu retains his spot on the right side of the midfield, while Crystal Palace defender Jeffrey Sherlock plays the opposite side. Caleb Ekuban leads the pack from attack with support from Jordan Ayew in a playmaker's role. Ghana has a perfect record in the qualifiers for the 2021 African Cup of Nations, and a victory for the Black Stars today will take them through the tournament in Cameroon. Ahead of the fixture, this is what Coach C.K. Akono said.
We'll be ready for tomorrow. The likes of Wakasto, Ofori has always been positive within the team in terms of team spirit, how to move the boys to follow the rhythm and everything. I think it's been positive, and we're hoping that tomorrow they can transform that into the game tomorrow. First of all, he's the leader of the team, and so if you don't have the leader, it's always a problem. But having said that, these are professional guys, those who they've been in Europe for quite some time now. They are doing well, not just so they know what to do, and of course a bit of guidance from us, our technical team, I think they'll be able to do.
So that's all for sports. Now let's do some entertainment story. Now, Ghanaian Afrobeat star Mohamed Muazen brings his smash hit single Hi Me to life in a dreamy new video that is nothing but eye candy. There's more to the story.
Most new visual adventures sets sail with a refreshing aerial view of waves crashing against the shores of sandy coast. The song's tune set in, and fans soon get a glimpse of Mo and his heartbeat, both flanked by flowering plants on the porch of a serene seaside cottage drenched in sunlight. Multiple shots ensue, climaxing at a sunset scene with two sharing an intimate moment to cap off their on-screen romance. Like every Skyface production, colors come off rich, amplifying the video's tropical ambience to full effect. Mo is no slack either, sharing great synergy with the model on set.
So that's all we wrap up on today's bulletin on Pan-African Television News. My name is Baans. Up next, this Youth Empowerment Show. Do enjoy the rest of our programs. We are out.